Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome to the Indianapolis franchise here on MLB The Show 23. To start this episode, I want to give a shout out to one of the content creators out there in Carmen's dad. He is in the vault a lot. If you look in the vault, he was gracious enough to create Victory Field. He messaged me, reached out to me, and said he created it. Look at the detail in this. Even the JW Marriott Hotel in the background, everything is beautiful. So we will be using this field going forward. He also was the creator for the Wranglers logo as well. So look in the vault, check him out, and check out his work. He does a great job. Shout out to him. So we will get to see that stadium starting next episode, but I wanted to give him a quick shout out. But now our Indianapolis Arrows are 29-62. I mean, we are absolutely terrible. We knew it would be like this, and this is what the rebuild is all about. And really the first season, maybe even the first two seasons, are about the players, less about the team's success. A rebuild takes a while. I mean, it just does, especially in baseball. I mean, it takes a lot of years. And here, we're just going to focus on really the players here in season one and talk about some of the guys that are really tearing it up. I can't talk about any success at all without talking about Raimel Tapia. I mean, the guy is hitting great. Now, he's going to be age 30 next year. He's probably going to be the first guy to get a contract extension from the Arrows, but I don't know how much I want to pay him. I mean, he is 30 years old. Obviously, he's our best player right now, but we'll see what happens. Probably next episode. We might give him a contract offer next episode. Freddie Fermin is a guy that is on our depth chart and isn't an everyday catcher, but hitting 279. I mean, that's exactly what you asked for from a depth catcher. Eric Hosmer is only signed to a one-year deal. It's actually less than $1 million, but he's actually been doing pretty good. But unfortunately, he's just not a part of the long-term plan. D. Gordon as well. He's got 2 years left on his deal, including this one. He's going to be around next year. I'm going to bring him back. Not going to try to trade him. I think he is safe. Nelson Velasquez, who was our first guy we acquired in this series, hitting 254. The average has dipped a little bit, but still doing what he should. 336 on base percentage. I just want to see some development from him. But behind him, I mean, we have been kind of sad because nobody is hitting over 230. Francisco Mejia, Williams Estudillo they're both at 230. Nobody else is at like 211. Jackie Bradley, Nicky Lopez hitting 208. I mean, this is a bad team, and I am hoping that we have a big offseason, not in terms of signing big free agents, but signing guys that really can help in this rebuild, at least move our rebuild along. And I'm not going to go out and, spend a bunch of money, but I am going to get guys that are younger that can develop in the system and really fit the piece of what we have here in the organization. We need tons of pitching prospects, so we're definitely going to be looking at pitchers and some young guys in free agency. We'll have to see. Even on the trade block, I mean, I'm going to be looking to maybe add a guy here or two here at the deadline. We could be looking at a fire sale. Maybe not this year because I want to be realistic. I want to still do some talent evaluation, but I do plan on making a trade. And one guy I'm looking at here is Michael Busch. He is buried on the Dodgers, in the Dodgers farm system behind a couple of people. Like, he is completely blocked from getting to the majors. Chris Taylor's ahead of him. He's got a big contract. Gavin Lux is a good young second baseman. He can play shortstop as well. I really like Gavin Lux. And just side story, he is actually from my hometown. I'm actually friends with his grandfather. That is interesting. But he is 25 years old. He is very, very good. But I decided to see what they want for Michael Busch. He's 25 years old. Like I said, I want to get these guys that are, in their mid to low 20s, and looking at what they want. I want to be realistic here. They do want Raimel Tapia, which I'm definitely not trading Raimel Tapia. They want Victor Reyes and Ken Giles. Ken Giles has been in all of these trades that are suggested for like all these teams that I tried out, and he's definitely a hot commodity, especially for teams looking to make a playoff push. I decide to kind of put that on hold for a little bit and focus on one of our other prospects in Connor Wiegman, who is hitting 280 right now at the AA level. And I think it's time that he gets the call to move up one level. I really want to highlight him because he is our top prospect. He is B potential. He was our only B potential before Tyrone Johnson got a boost in potential just naturally off of how well he's performing. But now we get to see the debut of Connor Weigman at the AAA level, and then CJ Alexander, who's just a guy, he gets moved down to AA to create room for Connor Weigman. So here we go. The 37-50 Omaha Storm Chasers get another guy in Connor Weigman, and he is, like I said, probably our best player in the organization, in our farm system, I should say, right now. And he has a good shot of making the opening day roster next year, depending on how he finishes this year, and we'll see with September call-ups. So here is his first at-bat here versus the Iowa Cubs, facing Jordan Wicks. He hits one to right field. Should this one get down? And it's going to be caught. But a hard hit ball right there by Weigman. He's got, power all around the diamond, and that's kind of what his calling card is. Here is Weigman now in his second AB. He gets an inside pitch. This one's driven deep to left field. It's going to keep carrying, and it's gone. Weigman goes deep in his first AAA game, and it is 1-0 here for the Storm Chasers. Connor Weigman's going to be, I think, a good MLB player one day. And like I said, I'm not in a rush to really move him up. But if he does perform at AAA, he could get the call, like I said, with the September call-ups. And get him some at-bats, some MLB action. In his third at-bat, he gets a high fastball. He's just late on that one. It's just a fly ball in the infield. And he is 1 for 3 so far. And now in his fourth at-bat, Tyler Duffy now in the pitch. A pitch right over the middle, and that one is fouled off. Good timing and everything. He just missed that pitch. That one could have been taken over left field for his second home run of the game. But instead, he swings that one up in the zone, and he chases it. Well, for his debut, he goes 1 for 4, but with the homer. So he has an OPS of 1,000. And our Storm Chasers lose 6-3. So coming off of last episode, obviously we had the draft, and we drafted Ray Gonzalez with our first pick, an 18-year-old shortstop who is going to be pretty good defensively now. Since we've been scouting him a little bit more, we've seen, some more ratings revealed from him, or at least some closer ratings revealed for him, and he looks like a pretty good pro, or a pretty good prospect, I should say. So we decided to negotiate with him, and our bonus allotment is 10.74 right now. He's asking for 4.1. We will first initially offer him about 4.5 million. See if he will bite on that. We're giving him more than what he's asking for, and he actually declines our first offer. So I think we still have some work to do. He's at 50% interest. We go after Aiden Grant, who was our third round pick, and he ends up signing with the Arrows. So we get our first signing in the Oregon Duck pitcher, Aiden Grant. I really, really like him, and we'll see what he ends up being at the end of this episode when the ratings are revealed. But pretty good player right now, and I'm excited. Our draft class I thought was pretty good. There were some unknowns, though. Steven Benitez is the next guy to sign, and I really, really like Benitez. I think he's going to be a good contributor faster than he will, later on. I think he's going to be a guy that can contribute pretty soon because he's coming straight from being a 4-year senior at the University of Miami. And then Torrey Manuel, the 18-year-old prospect reliever, he ends up signing too. So we get 3 signings here in the early going in the signing period. Back to the MLB level, we face the Oklahoma City Wranglers here at home. And this is the old Victory Field, so this will not be the one that we play with going forward. But look at this play right here to open this game, and wow, that one was bang bang. They call it safe though. Jose Iglesias at the plate now, facing Vance Worley. Ground ball to short, and this one will be a 6-4-3 double play. Our MLB squad is actually not doing well, but I like to see plays like this where we actually make good defensive plays, because that's how we built this team, to be a good defensive team. Here is Nelson Velasquez at the plate. He's hitting the ball well this season since acquiring him, and this is what we wanted. We wanted a guy that can get on base. He hits one to the right center gap for a 1-out double. Velasquez is definitely going in the next year. He's got an outfield spot. I don't know if it's going to be left field or right field, but that is going to be his job to lose. Wilson Astudillo comes to the plate now with 2 outs. This one's deep to center field and caught. So that one just stays in the yard. Astudillo isn't having the greatest season. I'm not sure he'll be around next year. Pat Washington now up in the 4th inning. This one will be hit to right field, and it will get down, and Pat Washington gets to second, and the run comes across the plate to score. That's Fermin, who will score from second, and the first run of the game will come by way of Pat Washington. I'm not sure what the future of Washington is at the MLB level, but he is kind of struggling right now. I thought about actually moving him back down to AAA just to get him some quality at-bats. I think I could do that for the last, 2 months of the season. Who knows? That brings up Jackie Bradley, who is starting today in center field, and that one will be a tapper back to the mound. So 1-0 game now, on to the bottom of the 5th inning. Here's Nelson Velasquez. That's driven deep to left field, and it's a no-doubter. And Velasquez, 2 hits in this one, and he makes it 2-0 here for the Arrows. Velasquez is a guy that I highlighted. If you missed it, go and check it out. One of the most underrated guys to trade for in MLB The Show. I named 8 guys, and Velasquez was on that list. Velasquez can straight up hit the ball, as you're seeing right now. So here is Tapia to the plate, who's hitting the ball exceptionally well. He's leading our team in average, just like, remember, episode 1, the prediction said that Tapia would lead us, and he is. He gets a hit right there to right field. Eric Hosmer to the plate. He will walk, and that will bring up our 5-hole hitter, Williams Astudillo to the plate, the veteran. He's got 99 vision. That's one reason why I picked him up in the expansion draft, and he gets clunked on the back. So now it's bases loaded with Freddie Fermin at the plate. We'll see if he can come through. 1-2 pitch is low, and he watches that one for a called strike 3. I thought that one was going to be lower than the zone. Here's Pat Washington back to the plate, and he will walk. Ball 4. So he's got 2 RBIs in this game, and it's now 3-0. The Wranglers go to the bullpen and bring in Matthew Boyd to face the left-hander Nicky Lopez, lefty-on-lefty matchup. And we'll see what Lopez can do. Lopez has been struggling so far this year, and he continues it here at the plate. I don't know what's going on with him, to be honest with you. He has good hitting ratings. He's just not performing well. Riley Green to the plate now in the top of the 6th inning, facing Ken Giles, who's been on the trade block. And this one's hit to the right center. It gets all the way to the wall. Jackie Bradley fields it when this one cleanly comes up throwing, but 2 runs will come across the plate, and Riley Green comes through for the Wranglers. Top 6 continues. Here's a line shot to first base. Eric Hosmer, the 3-time Gold Glove winner at first base, will snag that one, bringing up Yoan Moncada to the plate. This was just going to be a fly ball to right field, and Velasquez will be under that one. And we get out of this inning, but Oklahoma City eventually ties this ball game up at 3 apiece. We move on to the bottom of the 8th inning. Now with a man on second base, Nelson Velasquez strikes out that time. He gets fooled on the slider. 2 outs in this inning. Tapia, a soft liner to second base, and we move on to the 9th inning. Archie Bradley into pitch now, facing Michael Chavis, and he goes deep to left field. This one's going to be back at the wall. Tapia will be under this one, and it just keeps carrying over the wall. A home run here for the Wranglers. I thought that was going to be caught right at the wall, but Tapia jumps up, and it goes over his glove by about 5 feet. So here in the bottom of the 9th inning, Pat Washington up for one last at-bat, and a line shot to right field will end this game. So Oklahoma City comes all the way back and defeats the Arrows. They are also in this rebuild with us. We will see, comparison-wise, how they end up building their team and who they end up going after in free agency in the offseason. Obviously, this is about team building early on in this rebuild and really focusing on the players. So I'm excited to see what players they will end up going after as well. So coming out of that game, I just really thought to myself, maybe I should just try going after a free agent who will bring some excitement. And I thought Miguel Sano was an interesting guy. Now, he is demanding a lot of money, so I decided to kind of, skirt around it a little bit and give him a 2-year deal, but with a club option on the second year. I think that will satisfy him, and that means I don't necessarily have to keep him for year 2. I can just let him go if I really wanted to. So that's what I'm going to do. That made him happy, and we have the budget to do it. So I decided to move him to the AAA Storm Chasers. That's more realistic to kind of move him up in the minor league system before moving into the majors. But ultimately, I signed him to be a major league player. But you can just see right here, Sano is a strikeout hitter. I mean, this is what he does. He goes deep or he's striking out. I mean, that is kind of his game. He strikes out a ton. He goes 0 for 3 in this game with 3 strikeouts before flying out to right field. And he does struggle right away at the AAA level, but I do want to see what he can do at the MLB level. So I'm going to eventually be bringing him up. Pat Washington's going to be brought down to get some quality at-bats, but we will see what happens come next episode. We will cover that a little bit more. So let me know what you guys think of the Miguel Sano signing. Is that even like something that interests you guys? Do you guys think it's a decent move? We'll see. But we go back to the signing of the draft picks, and Ray Gonzalez, we decide to offer him more than what he's asking for, but more than what he wanted, but less than what the league is asking us to do, at least suggesting. And he ends up committing finally to the Arrows. So our first ever pick in this series finally signs. I'm excited to sign him and get this thing going. Then it just all falls in line. Dan Nunez decides to sign with us as well. He was our second pick here in this series. And then we move on. Jose Angeles, who was our third pick, and we decide to offer him a contract, and he decides to sign as well. So we got one more guy left to sign, and we will see as we move on to the next round of the draft signings, and we end up signing him. So we signed all of our draft picks. I know they said that this is something that could happen where you don't sign certain draft picks, but we had no issue. We really didn't have any issue. Like, we signed everybody before it was actually the second to last day of signing. So we actually did pretty good. We drafted well. I think we scouted pretty well, and I think we did really good. So now we go back to the trade deadline. We are just at that, weird period where it's like the signing period where we're about to reveal the draft picks, and also the trade deadline after the All-Star break. So I want to look at the trade deadline and look at some guys the trade block, I should say, look at some guys that are on the block. If you follow Octagonal Gaming's channel, Jesus Sanchez is an incredible player. I mean, he is exciting. And I don't want to overlap. I want to, enjoy seeing him in his series. So I decided not to go after Jesus Sanchez, even though he's probably a guy that if you trade for him in your franchise, he could be an exciting player to play with. I go to the Cleveland Guardians and find somebody very, very interesting. And it's Jhonkensy Noel. Jhonkensy Noel has incredible power. He's only 21 years old. He's been in the minors for 5 seasons now, pretty much, maybe 4. He was signed as I believe 17-year-old, but now 21 years old. He is kind of comparable to Tyrone Johnson in our system, another power guy, but he actually has better vision. Now, in real life, he actually has switched over to being more of a corner outfielder, so that's where I will switch his position if I acquire him. But you already know what's going to happen. I'm going to acquire him because he is amazing. I want to see what he can do. Get a young 21-year-old to develop next to Johnson and have 2 power bats to potentially, build one of those monster lineups, those Giancarlo Stantons and Aaron Judge type of lineups in the future. That would be crazy. So I decided to see what the Guardians would want, and Ken Giles just keeps coming up. So Ken Giles is going to get dealt here. I just do not see a future of keeping him. There's no reason. He should go to a contender. There's no reason for us to keep him around. And they want a shortstop or a catcher. They want Francisco Mejia, but I just don't think that that's possible. But Ryan Goins is a guy that is a depth shortstop or third baseman or second baseman, so he can play anywhere. And for a team that is looking for a playoff push, I think this just makes a lot of sense. Just giving them another depth guy who can play all 3 positions in the infield. He will actually be the backup shortstop for them. And we decide to execute that trade. So the Guardians accept it, and we will get Noel, who is going to be an excellent power guy. Now, the difference is they actually had Noel at the MLB level, but we will not have him there. We will put him down at AA, and he will kind of play where Connor Wiegman was playing at third, and he will be the starter at third, but I will probably switch his position over to corner outfield like he did in real life. In real life, he's actually the number 20th ranked prospect in the Guardians organization. So he's not like highly regarded, but I think he's got that ultimate power. Like, he's probably got the most power in their farm system altogether. So the trade deadline passes, and we look at, some of the trades that went down. How about this one? O'Neal Cruz going to the Mariners for Harry Ford and Leonardo Rivas, and then also Salvador Perez gets traded to the Astros. How about this O'Neal Cruz trade? At first when I saw this, I thought this was insane, like crazy. There's no way Pittsburgh will trade away O'Neal Cruz. I then thought about it. O'Neal Cruz is 24 years old. He's not the greatest hitter. He has a lot of power, but look at the average. I mean, he hit 233 last year, hitting 237 this year. These numbers just aren't great. And then I look at the guys that they acquired. Leonardo Rivas isn't the greatest, and he's 25 years old, 67 overall. But, I mean, at least they're getting a B potential guy. But the guy that they really like here is Harry Ford. Harry Ford's going to be a good player. I think that it's pretty tough to find catchers, especially young ones that are good like Harry Ford. And Harry Ford, to me, is the big chip of this trade, along with O'Neal Cruz. I wouldn't have done it, but I guess it kind of makes sense. You get two prospects back for a really good guy. So it's time to reveal our prospects. And Ray Gonzalez ends up being 90 potential and 70 overall. So our due diligence ends up paying off. We didn't know much information about Ray Gonzalez when we selected him. We had him about 60% scouted. I guess we knew quite a bit, but still, this is amazing. He's a pretty decent fielder. He's got average speed, but his hitting is really what sets it apart. I mean, it's his vision, it's his discipline, it's his clutch, and the fact that he is 18 years old and 70 overall, he will by far be the best player I've ever drafted in the first round in any series. I am super excited for this. And I don't think I could have made a better selection here. I mean, that is just amazing. But let's move on to our other picks. Dan Nunez ends up being C potential, 52 overall. This actually is a big disappointment. We didn't do our due diligence with scouting with him. When we drafted him, it was only 10%. So I guess we get what we get. Jose Angeles is kind of the same. 61 overall, C potential at 18 years old. So both of these 18-year-old pitchers, they come in with C potential. Steven Benitez is interesting, though. He was a 4-year player out of Miami. He's 69 overall and low C, but could this be a guy that actually contributes like pretty early on in this rebuild? I think so. So we'll have to see what happens with him. And then we go down to Aiden Grant. So Aiden Grant, I would say, is a hit. Aiden Grant ends up being 59 overall, B potential. Yeah, he's going to have to develop, and it's going to be a few years. But, I mean, hey, if he's age 24, 25, ready to contribute, I'll take it. Edmund Wade, 19 years old, C potential. I don't see anything great about him. And then Torrey Manuel, kind of the same, 18 years old, C potential. Those two guys could end up being just lifelong minor leaguers. But just for reference, what I am going to do in the future of this series and just going forward is I will be renaming every prospect I draft except my first rounder. So everybody that was not a first rounder will be renamed to one of you guys, and I will let you guys know when to submit your prospect. It will likely be next episode, so look out for that. Now, just looking around the rest of the draft picks, the projected number 1 overall pick was Johnny Ewing. He ended up dropping down to number 4, I think, to the Twins, and he looks like the number 1 pick. 72 overall, 92 potential. They ended up drafting another guy behind him at 93 potential, but the actual number 1 overall pick ended up being Rolando Ballinger, and he is absolutely terrible. 70-something potential and 50-somethings overall. Wow. Our top guy, Ryan Hesser, ends up being actually pretty good in the 60s overall and mid-B potential. But how about the Wranglers with the number 3 pick? They selected Matthew Capps. He ends up being 72 potential at the number 3 overall pick. They end up drafting a decent reliever in Jose Quiroz, who ends up being 70 overall and 83 potential. But besides that, it was pretty bad. Like, those picks were bad in the top 3. Orlando Quintana, who we actually passed on it with that number 8 pick of ours, he ends up being pretty decent, but I like what we got in Ray Gonzalez. Quintana's good, don't get me wrong, he's a better hitter right now, but I like the potential at 18 years old of our guy a little better. But then there's Babe Miller, who probably is the best player right now in the draft. If he would have fell to our 2nd pick, I would have definitely snatched him up, and he ends up being really good. So we are 35 and 73. Now, next episode, I plan on ending this season. That's probably going to be the season finale, because I want to get into the off season and just talk about, what we want to do with this team. Obviously, we're not going to go out and sign a bunch of guys. We will talk about the budget and stuff next episode, but I like what we see with our draft picks. I like what we got with Noel in the trade. So we traded for 2 guys, Noel and Velasquez, and then also drafted a very good player in Ray Gonzalez. And then Benitez, I think, will contribute pretty soon at the MLB level as well. Let me know what you guys think of those draft picks and that trade. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Next episode will be the season finale. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.